Hi, where's my hip? I have found over many years of teaching that this is a point of confusion, actually. People not understanding where their hips are and what different aspects of the hip really mean. So I thought it might be good to take a moment to think about that and how it affects our sitting and standing and everything else. So earlier today, this just happened to fall off of here, and I thought, well, maybe it is time to talk about the hip before I stop and try to put this tiny little piece of a nut back on this screw. So a lot of times when people are talking about their hip, they don't understand where the hip socket is and the actual hip joint. And so like if you break your hip, they're usually referring to that you broke this upper part of your femur somewhere. Whereas if someone breaks their pelvis, they're breaking somewhere up in here. And so the hip socket, it's very deep, this ball and socket joint, and there's a lot of connective tissue that comes in around here. And our muscle and tissue that fills in this area down towards the greater trochanter, a lot of times people perceive this as kind of all one thing and don't realize that their hip socket is so much to the inside and that the joint is not out here. So if I just kind of feel like this is all my hip, or we talk about hips, or put your hands on your hips, or shake your hips, or so we use the word in other ways too, like where's your hip? But the hip socket is very internal. Also, when your weight is resting on the side of your pelvis, sometimes it can be hard for people to know when they're feeling their weight on their pelvis or their greater trochanter. So if you're really feeling it on the greater trochanter, and like let's say that you're down on your side trying to do some side lying exercises. So depending on how you're structured and where you feel your body weight, sometimes people are feeling discomfort right on this area of the greater trochanter in relation to tendons and ligaments and bursa and things. And then when we want to be able to know how we're bending our hip versus our spine, we need to be able to have some good clarity about where that fold is really coming from. So if I'm hinging from my hip and trying to keep my spine in nice alignment, that's very different than like allowing my lower back to fold. So taking a moment to just learn about where your hip is can be a good thing to do, and try to analyze that in relation to your movement, how you're sitting and standing. The triple extension of the leg involving hip, knee, and ankle, all those things are very important.